welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and I create lifestyle content. I also run a product photography business that I launched last August and I'm working very hard to grow. I also just accepted a new job and I'm starting soon, which I'm really excited for, but this means that my product photography is going to shift to weekends and evenings. So in an effort to still grow my business, I thought that it would be cool to challenge myself to create a product photography shoot from start to finish in just one day. I'll be randomly choosing one product and sharing my entire creative process. So from brainstorming to mood boarding, I'm coming up with my own brief here, so I'll be sharing that process and then also setting up the shooting and eventually sharing the final photos. I have a lot of products and I think that this could potentially make a really cool series while I'm still trying to grow my business. I think that this is going to be really fun. I hope you enjoy it too, and we don't have a lot of time, so let's get started. I think what I'm going to do is upload a photo to ChatGPT and let ChatGPT randomly select which products I am shooting. Okay, the randomly selected product is ICK Direct Flight. That is this product here. I guess that's what I'm shooting. This is the product that I'm shooting today. This is actually a product I use. I grabbed this off of my bathroom shelf like this morning and just threw it in the pile. So this is the Direct Flight Style Preserving Matcha Dry Shampoo. I have set my timer for 10 minutes. We are gonna do just like a quick little brainstorm sesh. 10 minutes on the clock. My 10 minutes are up and I'll just read you what I have here. I did not research the brand online. I don't know what their product photography vibes are, so we're trying to do this without, normally I would look up the brand, but I don't want to see what their product photography is like. I kind of just want to come up with my own concept and direction. These are just words, a really quick brainstorm sesh. So sky, clouds, matcha, clouds made of matcha, lots of greens, lots of blues, flight, airplane, airy, light, bright, powdery. Maybe I use flower. Definitely use matcha. Texture, it's absorbing, dry, and cleansing. A really quick idea I jotted down was print a photo, real background of a sky or some sort of like sky type background, or create like sort of some depth there with that. Again, I wrote clouds are made of matcha. I really don't know if I want to go down that route or not. Maybe I use the pink chalky rocks that I have, like the rock stands could be cool. I also have like a soft touch white tray that I could try using. Matcha overlay, perfect square, like cut out of the matcha to create like a see-through effect to the product. Create layers with cut paper, cut clouds. I did a few sketches and then I thought I have a green claw clip that, well, I have lots of green things. I just love the color green. So I have this green claw clip. I have another one that's more of like a matcha color that could work. That is my first little brain dump. The next part of the process is going to be creating the mood board and shot list. So we're gonna get into the computer to do that. And I'm just gonna sort of look up images on Pinterest based on my little brain dump I just did. So that's what we're gonna do now. For this, I'm gonna give myself 20 minutes. Okay, so my time is up. I've created my mood board. I grabbed a lot of images from Pinterest, and essentially I just took my brainstorming list and typed in some of these words to Pinterest. I came up with a shot list. So I kind of briefed myself and I said I want 3 vertical images with negative space, so something you might use on Instagram, like stories where you would add copy or something. So I want some negative space that copy could be added to. And then I have 3 macro shots and then 4 lifestyle images. So for the lifestyle images, I was thinking I might go a little bit trendier. One really big trend right now that I've seen on social media, and it's been around for a while, but it's the airport basket trend. So I thought I could find a bunch of green objects around the house. I know I have a matcha green like style bag that is very trendy, so I'm well aware that that's not something that's like that I came up with on my own. Then I thought like something with a comb, something with shadows. I'm gonna go ahead and print this out, and it's actually about 12:30, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and have some lunch right now. So we'll take a little lunch break and then we will get into setting up the shoot. Okay, this is my salad. Does not look so freaking good. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna eat, and then hopefully these shots come together nicely. We're in the studio, aka my office closet. Hot off the printer. We have the mood board, we have the shot list. Okay, that's the plan. Let's just tape this somewhere so I know exactly what I'm doing. I have just printed out my cloud backdrop. I have 8 sheets of these printed, and I honestly don't know if this is gonna work. I've never done this before, but we are gonna make a background. So come back to my desk with me. I also got my afternoon coffee, so we are good to go there. Shots would be super cool, but I'm just having a difficult time getting them. Okay, so it's about 3 o'clock and I only have like 2 of the shots that I was planning on getting. I got a little hung up on the fact that the matcha powder I have doesn't match the color on the can. So I don't know what to do about that, but I'm gonna get like the lifestyle shots that I was planning on getting, and then I'm gonna try something else with the matcha to maybe see if I could still get it to work. Okay, let's just keep trying. Okay, so I want to do the like airport trend box trend thing. This is the box I have. It's not quite the same size. It's like actually a drawer. It's not quite the size of an airport like conveyor belt bin, but it's what I'm gonna try to use. So I'm just gonna set that up here and hope for the best. I like this bag because it is kind of like a matcha green color, but it actually might be too large. Okay, this could actually work really well. It's my makeup bag. It just says Bon Voyage, and I've had this for years. It's from Madewell, but I think that could actually work quite nicely. Okay, so we're gonna take the Bon Voyage thing out. Put a pair of shoes in here. That might be too much. Okay, so I have this little setup here that I'm working with. I thought it would be really great if I could fit like a pair of Birkenstocks, like these chunky black Birkenstocks would be so perfect in this shot. Hopefully out of all of that, I got something. So now I have about 3 shots from my 10 shot list. Matcha didn't work because it's not the same color. It'd be best to get those shots tomorrow morning. I'm gonna finish up with the last few shots that I wanted to try and get. Then I think we can call it a day. Okay, so it's the end of the day and I only got about half of the shots that I intended to get done today. And that's okay. I'm gonna take the morning to get the rest of them, and I actually just wrote down exactly what I need to do to get those done. I'll probably get quicker the more I do this, but I just kind of overshot with my concepts a little bit. They were a little bit too complicated to set up, and then I was trying to work with just the things I had in my office. The whole idea is that I didn't want to have to go out and buy props. I wanted to use what I had, but it took me a minute to kind of get some of those props like ready to use and like the shots set up. It'd be a 2-day shoot challenge instead of a 1-day shoot challenge, which is fine. I'm learning. But here, I'll just show you where I'm at. So I've set this out for the morning. I've made notes of what needs to get done. I thought it'd be cool to kind of hang. I have these carnations that I bought that are kind of this cool matcha green color. They're a little brighter than what's on the can. That's okay. And I thought I could like hang them in front of this cloud background and then have the product kind of floating in the middle. My matcha powder is just like such a like way off color, not as bright as what's on the can. This is way brighter than the matcha I have. So the other thing that I had an issue with was I really wanted to get a spray texture to show in my shot, kind of like what's happening here. So I'm gonna have to use a darker background, and I'm gonna have to put my camera on a tripod with either video or continuous shot. Since I'm only one person, I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna hold that. I feel like normally you would have like a model. Here, I thought I still wanna try to get the shot with dry shampoo coming out of the bottle, and I thought if I could do that with like a shadow kind of thing, that could be really interesting. And then I thought I could still get this texture shot. I could still use the matcha I have and then just brighten the green color post. Something that I always am kind of not very mindful of that I need to be better about is making sure that my lights are fully charged and my camera batteries are fully charged so that I can get all of that stuff up and running when I'm ready to shoot. I have these really great battery packs, and see, look, it's 17% and 0. I've used all of the batteries that I had charged today already, so I need to make sure that all my batteries are charged. So I'm gonna do that right now so that it's ready to go for tomorrow. But I really liked using this little background that I made for myself. I think this turned out really nice, and I like, again, I can just edit out this seam post and it won't be a big deal. I also really like the way this kind of made it look, I don't know, a little bit fuzzy. All in all, an okay shoot day. Welcome back. It's the next day. I did not get through all the photos I wanted to shoot yesterday, so it was a little frustrating for me because I really thought that I could do start to finish all in one day, but we will get there. I'm still learning, so it's fine. Like, I'm just gonna give myself the grace to get the rest of the shots that I want to get. I have my little, I kind of broke my own rules as well. Last night I was looking on Amazon because I was like, I really do want to see if I could find a matcha powder that is the right color. And while it's not matcha, I did find this pet dental cleaning powder and matches a lot better to this. I mean, it's a little bit more yellow than this one. This one's a little cooler toned, but I think that it's a lot closer and I could get some of the shots that I want to get. I didn't film this, but I actually just cut this out. It's a little, I have no idea if this is gonna work, but I made this little stencil. Just thought that I would bring you along for shooting day 2. I get the rest of these shots. It's 1 o'clock. This morning I ended up just like doing a little reset routine. I did like the house chores, vacuuming, tidied up, and I have about until 4 o'clock, so good 3 hours. And then I'd love to sit back down and do kind of like a reflections of how this all went. And then maybe in the next shoot, we will get it in one day. Well, let's just get right into it. is harsh. Okay, so I've been playing around with this like matcha powder setup, and I think I got the shots that I want. Still need the spray shot and then like green items laying flat. I think I'm happy with a lot of the shots that I got, and I'm still on time. I'm still on schedule. I will definitely get faster with time and practice. So I think this is really good so far. I think I want to try the floating flower thing that I was talking about. So I actually have these frogs. I think that's what they're called. And basically you can just push the stem of the flower onto these, and they're quite heavy, so I can set them and they shouldn't fall over. Okay, so I just wanted to hop on here and say that this is one of those situations where the concept doesn't really click for me. Like, I tried to make the connection. I had the flowers, so I just thought I would try it, but I thought like maybe because the flowers were green and they're kind of light and fluffy and airy, and I don't know, they might kind of make sense, but I just don't see it. Like, this isn't making sense to me. This is like product flowers and trying to just like make it work, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's really working. I think there is a place for flowers in product photography. I just don't know if this is that case. So we might scrap this one, but since I'm here, I might as well just like try to get a couple shots and see. Just wrapped up all the photos for today. Again, I started around like 1:30, or maybe it was even like 2 o'clock. So 2, 3, 4, like 3 hours of shooting today, and I almost gave up on like the spray shot of the dry shampoo coming out of the aerosol can, because I was getting really frustrated at like not being able to hold it and like having to push the shutter button using the continuous shutter. And I thought to myself, okay, what if the only shot that the client said they cared about was getting the action shot of the actual can spraying the dry shampoo? And I was like, oh gosh, if that were a real job, well, one, I would have shot that first. I decided to go ahead and push through, and in the last like 30 minutes of the day, I worked on getting that shot. All in all, I think it went pretty well. I have some thoughts that I want to write down to conclude this video. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna write down some notes of what I might do differently next time, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Tomorrow's Sunday, and I think I'm gonna sit down, pick my final 10 or so shots to share on here, go through the editing, and just share some of my final thoughts, and I could do better next time to actually make this happen in one day. So lots of learnings. I am here kind of at the end of this process, and I thought we could do a little crit together. I am somebody who is extremely self-critical. I love a good critique. I would say that I'm definitely somebody who points out the negatives before I see the positives, and sometimes I'll just look at my work and only be negative. I won't be like, oh, this was great. It's all negative. Like, we are not liking our own work at all. I thought we could just look at these images together and we could talk about what I like, if I like anything, and what I dislike, and kind of go from there. The first image I want to talk about here is this. I'm looking at my computer screen, so if you're like, why are you looking off in the distance, that's where I'm looking. In this image, I really like the styling. I thought it was really fun to do this one. So I really like how this image came together. I do wish that I had a larger bin and I could have put shoes, a bag, a laptop, like the objects that you would see, the objects that you would actually put into the airport bins to go through the conveyor belt. I also feel like this image is a little bit ironic because you wouldn't be traveling with that size of an aerosol can through security. Like, that's not allowed, so it doesn't make a ton of sense. But maybe if I had had like a travel version of it, and then shoes, a bag, and just more travel related things, this concept would have landed. Just as is, I don't know if you would immediately think of the airport trend, the social media trend. It just kind of looks like a bunch of objects styled. I did print a fake boarding pass that I threw in there last minute, but that could have been a ticket or like a concert ticket. It could have been anything. Not 100% sold on this image, but I do like the concept, and I do wish that I would have gone further with the airport concept. I like the way it's styled. I mean, like, if I weren't trying to hit like such a specific trend, I like the styling of this. Like, I feel like there's a good flow to the image and a good use of color, negative space. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that image. Let's look at these three together, actually. So I have these three images. I have one that doesn't have any flowers, then I have two that do have flowers. Clouds in the background. I did like using the dish as an airplane window around the can. I feel like it framed it really nicely. I wish I had taken some of those without the flowers and with like a sunset lamp, so that I could have gotten more like kind of like realistic in the sky type imagery there. The flowers I edited heavily to be the same color as the can, and again, I talked about this earlier in the video. I'm not sold on the flowers. I feel like it doesn't make sense with the product. So yeah, again, I shot them, they were there, and they're pretty, but yeah, not 100% sold on that. My shampoo is sitting on the tray. I do like that. I feel like the tray kind of gave it some nice depth, a little bit of more texture where it's kind of shiny, and the clouds underneath it kind of look like it's floating a little bit. I don't know, it's a stretch. And then the can with just the clouds behind, just the vertical shot, no flowers. I do like how that one turned out, but I wish that I'd been a little bit more aware of where the lighting source was coming from, because I feel like the can gets really dark on one side. I was trying to get a really dramatic shadow from the can. Also wish that I had figured out how to make the can look like it was floating and get a really dramatic shadow of the can floating. Moving on to the matcha shots. Looking at the matcha shots, immediately I wish that I had taken the one where it's like the matcha and the clouds in the background. I kind of wish that I had just like a solid color behind that, like maybe a tone on tone type thing. I like the dramatic shadow that the letters are casting, but I wish I didn't have the printed cloud background behind it, because the cloud background I had printed is very pixelated. It's not a high res image, and I was using a macro lens, so I was really trying to get a lot of the texture in the matcha, and that particular photo also picked up on the pixelated background of the clouds. So I feel like it's one, just like kind of distracting, and yeah, I don't know, like for social media I think it could be fine. You could just put like a grain effect over it and it would be fine. And then the one where it's just matcha, I actually really like how this one turned out, but I think my critical eye wishes that I had used a thicker piece of paper, it would have just been better to get like a crisper edge. I would have had a harsher shadow on those edges, and yeah, I think it would have just been better to have a better stencil. I also think that the G kind of looks like a C, and I keep seeing the word ick, so I don't know, maybe that's just their logo. And the one where the can is next to the matcha with the logo's out of focus. I had just focused on the can and I didn't take very many of these shots, so I just have the out of focus matcha with the can next to it, and I was kind of bummed about that because I kind of thought this would be cool. I also thought if I had edited the matcha to kind of look like it's coming off of the can and onto the paper, that would have been cool, but I don't know, just not. Again, I feel like the matcha concept was a little bit of low-hanging fruit for this particular project, but I ran with it because that's what I came up with in my 10 minutes of brainstorming. So good learning. Don't be afraid to stray off of the brief. If something's not working, like, explore and do other creative things just to see if you can get a better shot. I was really pushing for this though, this matcha, and not my favorite. I did this overhead shot and I really like the way the light is reflecting off of the tray. I feel like that's a good amount of negative space where you could add copy for social media if you wanted to, or a call to action or something. I like the vertical comb, the way it's kind of like creating a wall. So you do have something where if you put type, you kind of have like a good border area around it. I like this shot. I wish that I had adjusted the lighting a little bit more to get a harsher shadow and just had more of the reflection from that comb because it's translucent, more reflection of that color onto the paper or something. But I do like this image. I think it's working all right. Okay, and then the last ones that I'm going to talk about are the spray can. So these images of spraying the actual shampoo, like dry shampoo, out of the can were really difficult to get. I was holding the bottle with one hand and I had my other hand on the camera holding down the continuous. I could have done this with video and I think it would have been fine, but I really wanted to get a crisp shot of the dry shampoo. I think a black background was the only option here, and I think that's working. I really do like the image where there's movement. So the can and my hand are a little bit blurry, and I like that. I like that effect. I think this could be used in social media if you paired it with something that had the logo as well, just since the logo on the can isn't legible. I do like that. I think it's cool. You know, maybe that creates some sort of interest. Somebody sees it and they're like, oh, what's this like weird green matcha bottle, and they click it to see what it is. So that could be interesting if you didn't want the brand to show. And then the other one, the lighting's not quite right, and I was really trying to get like a harsh shadow, and so my background sort of became a lot lighter than I wanted it to be. It would have been great if it had been a little bit richer and then the shadow been really harsh. Maybe I could have used a lighter background and done like sunset lamp here. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of breath. So yeah, I mean, still just lots of learnings. I think that the best way to get this shot obviously would be to have a model or somebody else who's taking the photo if I'm holding the can. It's just not ideal. I also have a very small studio space, but I got that shot and I'm glad that I at least experimented with it. So that's my critique of these images, and yeah, I thought we could just end off this video with some final thoughts and notes, and let's just get right into that. That's a wrap on this project, and I thought we could just conclude this video with some final thoughts and some notes that I took throughout the process. This shoot definitely took longer than I expected. I went into it thinking that I could do the product shoot, film for YouTube, get everything edited, both the video and the photos, like all in one day, and that was just very naive of me. The creative process itself, from brainstorming, mood boarding, briefing myself, sourcing the props, setting up the photo shoot, and actually taking the photos, that process really only took about 8 hours. I will say that my editing was completely condensed. I did the bare minimum, super fast editing. I skipped Lightroom completely. Filming everything though definitely stretched the timeline out. If I wasn't concerned with getting certain camera angles or filming every single process every step of the way, I would have definitely saved time. Like, I was constantly moving this camera around the room, charging the battery, making sure that it was still going. I think I was just reminded that documenting yourself or documenting your creative process is a project in itself. Trying to juggle the two creative projects at once sort of made my brain malfunction. Some of the things I was trying to shoot weren't quite working the way that I wanted them to. And then the added pressure and added time of trying to get all of the YouTube shots in was a little bit, it was just a lot, because I was already trying to do an entire photo shoot almost in half a day, because I didn't get started till halfway through the day. That was definitely a takeaway for me. And I think too, another takeaway just on top of that is sometimes I get really concerned with the way that maybe I'm perceived on YouTube, like what the camera angle actually looks like, or I'll just cut footage altogether if I don't like the way I look in it. So I need to kind of remove that judgmental self where I'm like kind of being self-critical. Just use the footage I have, because I did find myself like either re-recording intros, transitions, or things where I was like trying to explain stuff. I would say it a couple of times, and that is very time consuming. I think just trying to get my point across a little bit faster maybe, or just not be so concerned with maybe the way that I'm saying things or second guessing things might make the documenting part of this process go a lot faster. So I think switching between getting the angles for filming and the creative direction for the photo shoot was just a little bit more difficult than I expected it to be. So then I wrote down some notes here, so I'm just gonna read off of my phone for this one. Just some reflections in the overall process. I think giving myself more time to develop concepts could help. I think sometimes the first idea you have is kind of too obvious or too simple. Because the product name had matcha in it and a photo of matcha on the actual label, I really just ran with the matcha theme, and I kind of wish that I had taken a moment to step back and gone more in the direction of like airplane, like maybe even like vintage airplane. I think there were a lot of different creative directions I could have taken with like the Airport Avenue concept. That's just point number one. I think I went with the way too obvious, way too simple concept, and I would have liked to have explored the flight airplane concept just a little bit more. And then I wish that I had something that could hold the can like it was floating. So another note that I had was, if it were a real client, I would definitely spend more time editing. I did super quick color corrections. I think spending more time on the editing in general would have been just better overall. I would have had better images in the end. Another note that I made, since I used a product that I use and it was already on my shelf, there was a noticeable dent in the bottom and some wear and tear on the can itself. So I think next time I would prefer to use an untouched product. Not going to use these for anything other than just sharing my process on here. Typically I would probably reach out to the brand, like treat this like a spec shoot. As of right now, I think I'm just gonna scrap these images. I'm probably not going to use them for anything. Like I said, I skipped over Lightroom and didn't do any of the edits or adjustments in Lightroom. Normally I would like batch edit everything in there and then come into Photoshop. It didn't make sense to spend that much time in Lightroom, so I skipped it completely. What else? Oh, I noted that pressing the logo into the matcha was actually pretty cool. Like, I really liked how that turned out, but it was a challenge, and I think in the future, if I were to do something like that, I would either use Photoshop and just fake it, or I would use a thicker stencil, so like maybe a thicker piece of paper or even a piece of cardboard. I used a piece of computer paper, so it was very thin. If you enjoyed watching my process or enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll make this a series. I think in the future I wouldn't take as much time to set this whole thing up. It would just be like, we're doing a product shoot today, and it'd just be a quicker video. I have a ton of products to choose from, as you saw, so if you enjoy seeing my process, I'll definitely try and film more of it in the future. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Bye!